Looking at the Fed dot plots, the possibility of a rate hike continues through the first half of this year, but dot plots are based on predictions. It is not the Bible to be followed with gold and jade. Even if you review the dot plot they took last time, it doesn't match exactly. This is just a trace of the effect to find the answer. In order to raise the interest rate, there must be a sign that the inflation rate has basically been reduced and inflation has been contained. The most important indicator for the Fed to confirm this is employment. However, as regionalism with heightened barriers between countries prevails and reshoring, which refers to the return of manufacturing industries to their home countries, is underway, the possibility of a sudden deterioration in employment indicators does not seem high. The dot plot is a chart that shows the level of each member of the Fed's projections of what their key rate will be in the future. Dot plots are released only after the end of quarterly FOMC. On this dot plot, right after the FOMC in September 2022, the median base rate at the end of 2023 was 4.625%. A member of Fed members expected interest rates to rise to this level by the end of the year. In addition, at the end of 2024, the median value was predicted to be 3.875%. Many members predicted that the base interest rate in 2024 would go down by 0.75 percentage points from 2023. At the FOMC in December, the gap widened. Looking at the dot plot released at the FOMC in December 2022, the median base rate at the end of this year was 5.125%, and the median at the end of next year was 4.125%. There was a difference of 1 point P. The 19 members of the Federal Reserve, which has a major impact on the global economy, have predicted the median rate range of 5.00% to 5.25% by the end of 2023. Their forecast was higher than the 4.8% the market expected. The opinion is close to unanimous in that 17 out of 19 people suggest 5% or more. This suggests that the Fed could still raise interest rates by 0.75 percentage points in 2023. The peaks of the dot plot are plotted as of December 2023, suggesting that interest rates will not fall in at least 2023. In a press conference held after the announcement of the FOMC results, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell only spat out a strong story that he would not consider changing the inflation target under any circumstances. Chairman Powell emphasizes that there will be no transition to low interest rates in 2023, but economists point out that the Fed's target inflation rate of 2% is unrealistic as the world economy is being reorganized starting this year. Criticism of outdated figures comes out. But the market is suspicious. According to the report titled Global Economic Conditions and International Financial Market Prospects for Next Year, published by the Bank of Korea on December 27, 2022, more than half of Wall Street's 10 investment banks said that the Fed would pivot in the new year was expected. A pivot is a change in the direction of monetary policy. This is a completely different prediction from what the Fed said. The Fed's economic outlook for 2023 can be summarized in 3 main points. One is that the U.S. economic growth rate in 2023 will drop significantly from 1.2% to 0.5%. The second, the inflation rate was revised from 3.1% to 3.5%. Third, according to this, the final interest rate was expected to be in the mid-4% range at the FOMC last September, but this time it will be in the 5% range. It triggered a louder economic recession warning. Combining Chairman Powell's remarks and the forecasts of Fed members, even if interest rates are not cut this year, if they start cutting them next year, they could go down at a faster pace. If the Fed shifts its policy toward cutting rates and actually starts cutting rates, the market could do so more quickly than expected. However, the level of interest rates on the dot plot is so widely spread that it is unclear whether this prediction will become reality. The wide distribution on the dot plot indicators that Fed members' expectations and perceptions of interest rate levels differ widely. Even at the FOMC in December, when members of the Fed predicted that the base rate would frozen at 5.125% by the end of 2025 and put the dot on the dot plot. As the U.S. economy goes through a possible recession, there is a possibility that it will cut rates faster than currently expected. This year, the possibility of an economic recession is growing, and interest rates are unlikely to go down for the time being. What is clear, however, is that the dark clouds of inflation are slowly dissipating despite the high interest rates. Financial authorities and banks around the world are taking various measures to prevent companies from experiencing a capital crunch and to prevent a hard landing in the economy due to private economic entities such as householders cutting consumption too sharply.